It's Nomsa here at Nkosi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. So with me today, I'm with Carol
Oh,
Ann Cooper and Shireen Lovegrove. How are you, ladies?
Very well, thank you.
Shireen, are
very
you
well.
okay?
Nomsa, you're all of a sudden sounding a lot lower. The sound doesn't sound so good.
Okay, hold on. And let me
That's
check.
better.
What number am I? I'm on 100. Okay.
No, I was just looking, you moved your head, and as you moved your head down, I heard you. So
Am I okay now?
that seems to be better, yes.
Okay. So the topic today is the hidden saboteurs, how we get in our own way in love. So are you unknowingly standing in the way of your own love story? So in today's topic, we are going to share with you guys how we can get in our own way of our own love story. So we will reveal the fears, past wounds, the hidden patterns that quietly sabotage relationship. And we'll share with you how you can break free from self-sabotage, open your heart with courage, and create the love you truly deserve. Carol Ann, you chose the topic. Would you like to explain to our audience what was on your mind when you chose the topic?
Yeah, this is very much something I'm working with just recently. I'm doing a course with somebody and he's talking about the saboteurs and I've started to realize how sneaky they are and how subtle, and actually there's more to them than I'd realized, and even though I've done work around this to actually focus on them and the ways he's given us to sort of notice them and what to do is really starting to help me to see how sneaky they are. So I just thought, this came to me last night, why don't we explore this in terms of how how it gets in the way of your own love? How, what is it? Could it be these saboteurs that are stopping you, but also when you're in a relationship, how they impact that relationship? So that's where it's come from. So I thought we could explore, what are they? How do they impact, and actually how we can actually work, say, with them, but move beyond them and improve the relationships. So that's where it came from. So, Shireen, what were your thoughts or about the topic
Yeah, I
when you
mean,
saw it?
saboteurs are sneaky little things anyway, isn't it? Aren't they? And I think when we talk about saboteurs, it's really to be clear with people, what is a saboteur, right? What is a saboteur? And saboteur is really anything, for me, is anything that stops you from seeing the truth of who you are. So if you, for example, and we've learned that you either sabotage yourself or others or the circumstance. So we look at how we look at the world through our eyes that are looking at ourselves. So how we beat ourselves up, how we pump ourselves up, all of those kinds of things. These are saboteurs in some level. How we look and criticize somebody else when we don't see their greatness. Well, we're probably looking at it from a perspective of fear. Right? We're either seeing them as higher than us or lower than us. So it's all to do with how we see. And really, a saboteur is a misseer, the misseer of the truth. So we don't see what is truthful in front of us. So when you talk about it being sneaky, what is the act of sneakiness? The sneaky thing is everything under the cover, right? It's everything that's hidden. So we don't see it, right? It is the queen or king of the misseeing principle. And so we really need to understand everything in the world, if we see it, we often believe it to be true. Because if we take things at point blank range when we're little as a child, if anyone has to look at a child, they believe in anything. You tell them, Father Christmas lives. Boy, oh boy, do they believe in Father Christmas. But not only that, when we look at certain kinds of psychological exercises, we can see that our eyes always missee things in different ways. So what's really important from a sense of a saboteur is this helping us expand, or is this causing us to feel fear and contract? Is it making us withdraw? So part of the whole aspect of a saboteur is really, for me, is about how do we see it, how do we notice it, and then how do we expand through it? And the idea in love is how often do we look at someone and we're already got the critical voice sitting there? And that is absolutely the saboteur that's running in there. Saboteur gets in the form of love, because if we look at someone through the eyes and the filter of love, we won't experience that. We will automatically feel whole, we'll feel full, and we will feel kind, we'll be gentle. We'll do the things we need to do in order to expand that human being as well as ourselves. Yeah, that's the sort of the bit that I really go in, the idea of what I believe about saboteurs are, and they are so sneaky. Namsa, do you have a few? Or have you got rid of all of them already?
I like Carol and when it says they are so sneaky. Before I started my fasting journey, because I was then sleeping, but then when I started like waking up more and more, I started realizing actually people actually they are actually sabotaging their own lives. Or like sometimes I'll go to like business and I'll see actually someone actually sabotaging like themselves just by like thinking negative about the other person. So I'm like, this person, they are actually sabotaging themselves because I don't think this person, that's what they're thinking about them. So I think it's really, really important what Carol Anne said from the beginning, that actually we destroy ourselves when it comes to our life. And that was the one thing that I saw when Satan, when I was under sacrifice, his job when he was torturing me, he was up after me sabotaging me. Like me, I will have to destroy me. So I was like, I'm not doing that. And then I was like, when I started to like see how it works, and then I was like, so you mean people actually they destroy themselves? So I was like, wow, this is painful. But I like Sharina what you said as well, that anything that stops you from seeing the truth of who you are, that is a big sabotage. Because when you really don't see the real you and living in a place where you don't embrace who you are, and I think it's important to just that self-awareness. Even myself, like I'm still working on myself. Like I'll do things and sometimes I'll be like, oh, okay. Did I do that? Did I do that? So yeah, I think it's really, really important to know the real you and just to have the awareness of who you are, like mostly in relationship. I was talking to my stylist before I came live. We're talking about a relationship that nowadays is not about love, it's about what do you bring to the table. I bring this much, how much, this is how much I bring materially, this is what I have, so what do you have? So we need to count it together and see whether you qualify. So we were talking about that what is going on in this world is like love is all about material now, and it's getting worse. If I'm driving a Lamborghini, you haven't got one, you don't qualify. And it's getting worse. But you have these people that genuinely, they put love first. To them, they're like, I'm not going to sabotage my life. If you love me for me, we dance together. So I love that, the genuine of true love. And thank you, Carol Ann, for
Mm. Okay, I love what you said about we dance together. That's a lovely goal to have, you know, and an intention to work towards, dancing together. And yeah, these saboteurs, they are sneaky. I've realized I found myself in a place where I'm feeling I'm not feeling very good. My thoughts are going round and round and round, and all of a sudden it's like, hang on a second, that's that saboteur. You know, that's the judge, or it's the critic, or there's the controller, there's the avoider, there's the pleaser, there's also the stickler. And I realized, oh gosh, yeah, I'm a bit of a stickler in certain circumstances. Very much been a controller, and so all of these. And there was another one that someone said to me the other day. He said, I think I'm going to create a new saboteur. He said the delayer, because I was talking about putting things off.
That is actually
Okay.
a big one, Carol Ann.
Yeah. The delayer. And I realized the false message that this delayer was giving me. I realized the big lie of the avoider. You know, it's like the avoider is saying, well, I'm just making life a bit easier for you. Let's not do it right. And just avoid it. Life will be more peaceful. But actually, the truth is, it's making it worse in the long run. It might be in that short term, it gives you that gain. And yes, it's a bit easier. But in the long run, it's not. Because whatever you've been putting off doing or delaying, or it's still there. It still needs to be faced. Now, so where do they come from, these saboteurs? And it's really from our childhood, from growing up. It's childhood experiences, it's past hurts, things that have happened to us. And it's like we've just developed this protection, and that's all a saboteur is. So very often I sort of think, well, that name saboteur, because a saboteur implies that they want to do wrong by you. But actually, their nature is they're trying to keep you safe in some way. They're trying to protect you. And in the moment that they formed, they were protecting you. But it became too much. It became too much over time. It's like it became the habit, the go-to, because that's what it worked then, but it becomes to a point where it no longer serves you, and it's actually causing you more harm than good. But that saboteur can't see that. So I love what you were saying, Shireen, about it's the misseer of truth, because it can't see the truth, that actually anymore its message is no longer valid. So it creates these walls, these blocks, and it actually creates mischief in your life. It creates discomfort. And what I've been learning is that if you've got this sort of bad feeling in response to any of life's challenges for more than a second, because usually it's that for a fleeting second, it's like a warning. It's just, oh, but if it's for more than that second and it stays, then it's one of the saboteurs that's coming in. And the judge is the big one. It's sort of overall, and then all the other ones come into play as well. So yeah, they just, it's finding yourself in that. All of a sudden you're miles away, you're not in the present moment, and you can feel that there's tension in your body, your mind's going round and round and round with a story, or there's discomfort, and before you know it, you're totally sucked in. It's like, whew. So the first step is just catching them. So we'll talk about a bit more about what to do with them afterwards, but it is that first step, It's catching them.
Yeah. It's interesting because you brought the one thing about the misseeing. How do we missee a saboteur, right? How do we, because we already are interpreting that a saboteur is going to hurt us. But in actual fact, the saboteur is really a protector, right? It's a protector that happened a long time ago and it's just outliving its time. And as a protector, it's put filters on us, right? So that we are now misseeing. We're seeing a clouded view, a clouded vision. And that means that when these saboteurs kick in, we are living the old story, right? We're still living that story that's before all the covering. we're in that story still, and we haven't updated to the new story yet, which is the new truth, the truth of seeing everything as a whole. I think we want to just tell our viewers that actually everyone on this planet as a human being that has the ability to discern, to separate, to see things differently, has saboteurs. The fact we are a soul that lives in a body means everything is filtered of what we experience. And so our job really is to really clear all the stuff, and which is why Nom said, with fasting takes away a lot of the necessary components for many of the bodily functions. So in the fact when we eat, there's so many body functions that are going to have to happen that we take a lot of attention there. But if we're fasting, then a huge amount of that attention is really focused on something else, on the something else that we want. So that's why fasting is so valuable and so important, but really being very attentive in the fasting, not just fasting for the sake of fasting, but it's understanding that you're fasting for a purpose. So I think the most important thing is that everybody has this. We're all born, every human has this, and that actually these saboteurs were protectors that helped us when we were very small. And if we always look at it from the idea that they are protectors, then we're more likely to not be angry with the saboteur when it does what it does. The saboteur is really doing one thing. When we think about when we're little, we only really know two real emotions when we're little. Love for comfort, go towards comfort, to go towards safety, or we know to withdraw or to be in fear, right? To run away. So both those are two, they're old survival patterns that existed, and we are born with those hardwired, full stop. How we then move in the world is how we will use those inherent biological survival mechanisms, the towards and the way survival systems. How we use that will be how we develop these saboteurs. So we will either decide at that point we will become a rescuer. Some people have heard of rescuers. They are very similar to the pleaser in Shazad's work, where we please to appease, right? Where we try and avoid the pain by pleasing. And sometimes we can please and we do it, but if we do it from a higher order of genuine love in the pleasure of giving, but most of us learned that love or the pleasure of giving meant that there were some conditions attached to it. And then so we give and we please from the wrong place. We please believing that we must be a good girl, or we must, this is what women do. These are often what a lot of people feel, certainly women feel, when they have been caught in this kind of pleaser role, which is very much conditioned, right? Of course, we have to learn that pleasing doesn't do our soul very much good if it doesn't come from the right space. So if we're not pleasing from love because we genuinely want this person to be happy, we can never overspoil a child if we're doing it from genuine love. If we're doing it from pleasing and trying to take away their pain, then we're doing a problem, right? Because we're not allowing that person the experience of learning what they need to learn and helping them navigate that. So yeah, I loved your delayer your delayer, Caroline, because the delayer, which you said is the avoider, but it's a lovely name. But it is the delayer of the pain. if you don't pay attention to the pain when it's there right now and you shift it away, you will pay later with pain. That will be either a breakup, it'll be a bad relationship, it'll be a humongous fight, whatever it is. If you delay the pain of actually having that confrontation or that discussion, let's say, rather than a confrontation, but the right kind of discussion that will lead to a situation where it might be better, if you delay it, then you delay the pain, and the pain is going to come, it's going to bite back. Doesn't matter how you try, it's always going to do it. And in the same way, if something's going on in your body and you don't go to the doctor or you don't sort it out, that's a saboteur playing in. That's a fear saboteur playing in and trying to keep you from actually facing something that could maybe solve the whole problem straight away. No heart attack has ever happened with no precursor. You always find there's somewhere along the line a little bit of shortness of breath, not being able to walk very far, feet swelling a little bit. People don't ever think about those things, but those are the things that really are telling us we've delayed the pain, and the pain is now causing a problem. Yeah, and the crazy thing is these saboteurs, from a neurological perspective, when they come into play, what happens? We have this first experience of pain, so we create the saboteur, but neurologically, we're actually deferring a neural connection onward, which means that we don't actually have the strategies now. The brain just switches off. It doesn't even recognize that this was the original pain. We often forget where the original pain was. That's what a trauma is, isn't it? Often we forget where the original pain is, because what happens is there's neuroplasticity taking place that is actually moving us further and further away from the original insult of that pain. But when we think about protectors, then we will start moving towards that, and we actually divert it back to its original source. And we divert it back to the original learning that we need or needed. So that's the wonderful thing of just kind of being present in that moment when that saboteur kicks in and saying, what's the pain? What am I really worried about? What's that pain? Oh God, I am doing my tax at the moment because I know we're moving house, and I'm thinking, the pain of avoiding taking these bank statements down and just putting them into CVS files and whatever. And guess what? I did them this morning in a matter of 20 minutes. And I thought, I'm actually enjoying this. Why did I take so long to do this? Right? Invariably, the pain isn't as bad as we think it'll be if we stay in the moment.
Absolutely.
So yes, that's where I was going with my saboteurs and that delayer.
I love that. We're very lucky in our church. Dr. Olukoya teaches about all these things, how people can cause pain for themselves, like delaying, like Carol Ann, the delayer. I think that is a big one, which, like Shireen, you're saying, you're avoiding to do things. Some people in a relationship, they will live for 10 years, 20 years with someone, they would have left it, like even in the first year, because they avoid confrontation. They don't like to talk about things. They will delay things, and then they end up getting into depression, or sometimes we simply delay to work on ourselves, and we're hoping that things will get better themselves. Like for me, like what you're saying, Shireen, when you fast, it helps you, like the Holy Spirit communicates with you. When the Holy Spirit wants you to shut up, it tells you to shut up right now. Don't say anything. Or if he wants you to do something or help you to do something, there is no like, I can't do this. It's like whatever you want to learn, he will teach you to do it. So it's like your mind is alert. You can't make an excuse and say delay, like avoiding things. You could be delayed by the universe or by God, because sometimes God will delay you for you to realize the path that you're taking to actually get like to get to know it. Why? Because sometimes you might, like, let's say with success, you might get success very quickly, and then things get out of control. So he might delay things so that you get to know who you are, know thyself, and have a relationship with yourself and things like that. And I like the way the one you talk about, the pleaser as well, Shireen. I was one of those, like, doing things to please people. And the worst one that I was, it was like trying so hard to force relationships. It's either with friends, with anybody, just trying, when you meet someone, you try to impress that person. And even when you go business event, you try to impress people about your business and what you do. When I started fasting, I realized actually I don't have to do all that rubbish. I just have to talk about my business, what I do, but I don't have to really trying to convince someone. Even with the clients, I realize that not everybody is meant to be on my books. So I'm learning these things the hard way, because I realized that I was actually delaying my glory by just like being hard on myself, forcing things, relationship. If I meet people, I would just, like, if someone does not want to hang out with me, I'll be like, why this person? So then I came to understand, actually, I don't have to. The more I fast, like what God does, the more I fast, if I've questioned with something, if I really, really need a teaching about it, if I'm so desperate about it, like an understanding, because I couldn't understand, what do I do? What do I need to do actually to be me, not to force relationships and things like that? So he actually used Pastor James or Dr. Olukoya to actually teach about that subject. So I came to understand that no, I don't have to try hard. I have to go easy on me. Relationship wise, I don't have to delay pain or anything. If there are wounds that I have to deal with myself, I don't have to avoid them. And Carol Ann as well, she taught me how to look within myself. If there are things that are going on, you just look within yourself and not sabotaging yourself. Because I used to, when things go wrong, I'll say the prayer to God and God will answer that prayer. And then it's me now, I'll be like being hard on myself. Why is this happening? So I'll speak to Carol Ann. I don't call her on Zoom anymore because her job is done. So when I start having more problems, that's when I'll call her. Honestly, she was like, you have to listen to the words when you're talking to God. And when he replies you the way he wants, let him reply you the way he wants, and then accept it, and don't be too hard on yourself. Because for me, I'll be wanting people to be nice. But God will show me that no, what you want is not the character of this person. So I'll be like, if I go to uni, if someone are not nice to me, I'll be like, why? So I'm learning that the hard way, not to sabotage my life, to accept the life how the universe brings it to me. And it is one of the hardest things. So how have you guys been able to deal with those kind of things, not sabotaging yourself?
Oh, it's just keep waking up to it. I think
Keep
sometimes
waiting.
it is you. The only way we seem to learn is the hard way. It's like it gives you the wake up call. And I mean, the avoider in me was very strong. When I'd left teaching and I was wanting to set up my business and I wasn't able to pay my bills. I didn't have that much money coming in, and I would just put all the letters in a pile, ignore them, ignore them. So I was just avoiding, what was coming. And it just, in the end, what I was avoiding happened, and I had to end up going through them and It's when my daughter helped me, but the house had already got repossessed at that point. So it's then just facing what is and realizing, as you said, Shireen, very often our mind, it builds it up as something big and it's going to take a long time to do, or it's going to be hard work, or just there's this thought that I just really can't deal with this and I'm not up to it. But actually the truth is that you are, and actually it doesn't take that long when you sit down. There's been many a time when I've sat down and all of a sudden it's like it's done. But how long has it taken me to sit down to it? That's what the length of time. That's why it takes so long to get a job done. It's not the job itself. It's all the putting it off and dipping in and going, oh no, coming away from it or leaving it altogether. So yeah, it's through, as I say, learning the hard way. And part of me goes, okay, so why do we have to learn the hard way? And maybe it's not thinking it in terms of the hard way as opposed to an easy way. It's a way of learning that we've taken on. And very often we don't know until we've gone through a particular experience. We don't know the difference until we come out the other end, because actually that is how we learn, by contrast. Something can be really easy and then you find something else that's difficult. You then realize actually how easy you were finding the other thing to do. And in your mind, you probably weren't even thinking that it was easy. And this is something that I've realized, that a part of me, when people say some of the things that I do, it was like when I was in hospital and they were saying, gosh, what a remarkable recovery. And I'm thinking, really? It didn't, because it just seemed like to me I was recovering and I'd set myself the goals and I was reaching them. But now I look back and I listen to, I've had other people talk with me. I actually realized the other day, wow, it was a remarkable recovery, because I've got other things to sort of compare it to. So we actually learn by comparison. And so it's comparison in a way that works for us, because it helps us to really see the truth of how we are working and actually how good we are when we think we're not. Or it gives us that idea, well, okay, this was this hard to do, but this is easier, or, just giving us that comparison. So taking that hard route, it's a learning route, because if we didn't take that route and find it sort of a bit difficult going or a bit stressful, we wouldn't recognize when it wasn't stressful. It's like, that's the comparison. It's not about comparing with someone else, because that sort of comparison is comparing to despair. It's comparing with how you approach things, how you work. And that's how you can then learn really efficiently and effectively and move forward. So, yeah, we learn the way we learn. And if we make life difficult for ourselves, then that's what we do. But again, it's looking at, well, what caused that in the first place? Because I've always had this thing that, oh, it takes you a long time to do something. And the more things have gone quicker and quicker, ooh, I've got my hands, sorry. I'm just watching the thing on the yeah, there's a part of me is going, no, it can't possibly be that quick. No. Because I've always had it that things take a long time. I grew up with that teaching, with my background, from my family. Things take, it's hard work. It takes a long time. Well, actually, a lot of things don't. When you do the inner work, it's amazing how quickly something can manifest, how quickly you find, oh gosh, that was done. Or actually, there was nothing more to do, because all of a sudden someone just pops into your life who you've been looking for anyway. You know, it's just amazing how things do happen when you're in flow. So yeah, it's not making it right. It's not making it wrong. It is what it is, and it is catching it and noticing it. And it's then recognizing if it's hard work and it's causing you pain, it's waking up to that. Oh gosh, this is causing me tension. This is causing me stress. It's being able to wake up to that, because we've lived with the stress. We hold on to the stress, and somehow we seem to be comfortable with the stress. So we keep doing it. And that's where it makes it the hard work that we call it. It's recognizing the stress and saying, okay, there's stress here. Catch it and name which one of the saboteurs is it. And I love what this teacher is telling us to do. It's beautiful. You know, it's like, oh, there you are, caught you, the other judge, yay, you know, and it's like really making a game of it and making a play. And it's not making it wrong. It's just bringing fun to it. And I just thought, oh, this is a bit like hide and seek, a game of hide and seek. Gotcha, found you, you know. And all of a sudden, it loses its power. It shifts, and you can operate in a different, more positive, upbeat manner, and all of that tension and that, and it goes, and you find you can actually get on with the job. So it does get easier. And then I found my avoider sneaking in just recently and putting off doing all some of the teachings. You know, I just think, oh, I haven't listened to the teachings fully from the week before. I've got the end of last week's to still listen to or finish listening to, and I can feel that avoider in me. I feel it every time I sit down. It's like, okay, catch it, sit down and do a bit more. So a little bit at a time. So that's the way to sort of overcome it, play with it, work with it. And as you said, Shireen, isn't it, that the two main emotions we have is love and fear. They're our main driving forces. And the saboteurs drive from fear. It's catching them, bringing that bit of fun in and coming out, stepping over into love and loving yourself, loving what's happening so you can move forward. Yeah.
I am talking.
Yeah.
I thought I'd cut it off because I was
know.
clearing my throat early on.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, obviously you asked about what do we do? I think I'm just being aware of what's been happening for me over the last little while. So I kind of found myself really becoming, well, a little bit, and I can't say I can't say I was depressed, but I just didn't feel in full of sorts, right? And I realized that there was a part of me that was really becoming very resistant to things, and that was interesting given, who I am. So I started to really just pay attention, and I think what was really important, as I think when we really want to integrate stuff and change stuff and think about and the idea of love, how do we love ourselves more? The way out is love. So we've got to find a way to rewire the way we love things, the way we love life, the way we are, and we may need to redefine what that love means in a different way. And so what I started to realize is looking around, how am I loving my body? Is my body being loved well enough? Am I taking the nutrients I should be taking? Am I doing all the things on a physical level? And I realized, oh, maybe I haven't been doing that. Because I found that the moment I started taking my super greens, energy came up, I felt better, and I was thinking more clearly. So there's something about, the aspect of really checking in, what's going on? Is my physical being taken care of? Am I loving my physical being? Then am I loving my mental being? Am I doing things that feed my mental state so that my mental state is supported. Remember, I talked about the saboteur causes a bypass mechanism. So what that means is we then don't build the mental structure that's going to help us build more love, right? To build more safety, build more trust. What that requires is us to be a little more internal to ourselves by being reflective, contemplative, praying, asking for the kind of help that we want and desire, right? And that then builds that sense of safety and trust. We have to learn to trust and love from a different perspective. And we have to get back to that before we can actually really deal with the saboteurs. Because it's very hard to deal with the saboteur and say, you're my protector, when the last thing we want to do, and most of my clients will say, push them away. I want to get rid of this. I want to get rid of this. And I'm saying to them, no, 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 no. I want you to bring them closer. And they really find that very hard, particularly if it's been there a long time and it's been causing them a lot of grief. It's so difficult for them to really acknowledge or accept that it is really a protector. And so the only way we can do that is by really developing a new way of loving, a new way of being that helps us to begin the process that when we see the saboteur, we go, okay, how is it protecting me? What is it wanting me to do? Why is it trying to take me away from the pain? What is it worrying about? Paying attention to that. And then just kind of asking those kinds of questions. Well, if it wants me to delay and it's worrying about the pain, is that really true? So really start to ask the questions around that. Actually changes in our brain. It actually moves stuff that's in the fear center more closely, more aligned to the parts of our brain that are higher order thinking. And that then gives us that sense of balance and harmony that starts to come. And we will then get an image or a vision that is a combination of both things. I know that in all teachings, when we meditate, when we practice, when we learn to build those muscles, we absolutely become much more productive. We become much more enthusiastic. We become much happier, but we are becoming more motivated. We tend not to delay because we've built in the right kinds of muscles, right? And the saboteur that is always trying to push us away and help us delay no longer has the same kind of power. In actual fact, it diminishes quite strongly. It becomes the voice isn't so strong. What you start to hear is the voice of truth and the voice of love. And in some people, it's the voice of God, the voice of the soul. It is that voice that we have to listen to and surrender to. And that requires the practice, isn't it? That's the way out. The way out is to cleanse, to clean, to check that mirror, keep looking at the mirror and saying, let's shine you a little bit more. Let's see where the light is. Because inside everything, inside a scaredy cat is always a beautiful, soft and gentle animal. Inside a scared child, inside a scared human, you will always find, doesn't matter how horrible that person is, there's a very soft center. It's just that the center's been clouded so much. But if you find the way in, that person will be the kindest person to you. They'll be the most loving person to you. So it's really important that you focus on that. And then turn that inwards to yourself. If you're the most loving person to yourself, then that's the real gift that you give to the world. You cannot not be but love in itself.
Are you
That's my
preaching
way
right
out.
now? Are you preaching, Shireen?
No, that's my way out because I'm really, I've been going through the 6 weeks has been really a cleansing 6 weeks for me, and really looking at those filters in a very much deeper way, and how to hold these two parts of myself and come into wholeness. Yeah.
I like the preaching part. Shireen, she's gone. She switched off the Holy Spirit now. Is is helping it to preach the voice of truth and reflection. I think that is powerful, Shireen, because people don't realize. I like what Carol Ann as well said, that looking at a comparison, and we don't understand that we learn things step by step in our own way. I've met so many people. Sometimes I'm like, what is the point of doing this if you're gonna go and compare it with something else? But whatever you do, do it for joy. If it takes time, let that time be yours. Embrace it, because the beauty of life is when you look back and look at your flaws, and you're like, oh, I had a bumpy road on that path. I had a bumpy road, but then when you look at the results, and you're like, it's worth it. And I like when you say, like, learn to trust the process. For me, the hardest thing that I had to learn is to let go of wanting to control everything in life. Like, if I want my results, like this time, if they don't come, I'll be like, why hasn't, is it gonna come? But now I've learned that I have to learn to trust the process, and just like you say, just love yourself in a new way, and listen to the voice of truth and the voice of love. And people don't understand all those things, that whatever we go through in life, it might look at like as it is, if it's a pain, but that pain, it brings the truth. It brings love if you actually work on it and reflect. Uh, I've joined the University of Learning, to actually learn myself, and going into the process of learning about myself, and really having an understanding, like you guys have said, reflect, learn, comparison. It's just learning, not making it wrong. Carol Ann, you always say this all the time. And just enjoy the process, embrace the person you're becoming, embrace the relationship that is being built in that process, instead of sabotaging it. And just enjoy the moment, and knowing that we are all these beings that are learning about ourselves each and every single day. So there will be flaws in that journey, but we have to truly, truly enjoy it. Like, for me, I've just surrendered, like, to get to know myself and get to know God. I've just said to myself, I am tired of people judging me. I'm tired of people telling me that I can't do this, I can't do that. I'm tired of judging myself as well. So the best way for me is to listen to the voice of God, because God speaks the truth. And like you said, Shireen, and just enjoy the process of the person that I am becoming. I'm not perfect. I'm never going to be perfect, but I have to embrace that journey of me becoming the person that I am becoming. Love unconditional, and just be with the people that appreciate you the most. That's what I've learned as well, that not to waste my time with people that don't value me, and just appreciate everything that is coming along the way. Did I tell you that Pastor Henry Gadi actually entered Pastor Henry and asked him to give up his home? And that was the most painful thing. I watched him online, and I was like, this is so painful. But I was laughing. I was like, I'm learning this thing. I asked him to give up his home completely, to because he does marriage counseling and stuff. So he asked him to move out of his house, because he's been married for a very long time, and he's raised kids in that home. And I was like, now you need to move out of this home, make it a home where you deal with marriages only. And that was so painful. But I was just laughing and I was like, God has a plan for him, but he doesn't know he's going to get a bigger house. And that's why he had to give up his eyes. But sometimes he wouldn't understand when things like that are coming, like you sabotage your life and thinking this cannot be real. But for me, I've just learned that the hard way, that God is sometimes working in a different way. Or sometimes we might enter a relationship that does not make sense. And later on, it will make sense, or relationship might end. And that may not make sense. And then later on, instead of you sabotaging yourself, later on, it might make sense. Like we were talking, me and my friend, I'm like, this thing of material people. I think there's actually a matchmaker in the US. They have actually decided to make a big movie about it. It's coming out. I've seen the trailer as well. That love is completely going to a different way. It's like now. It's like, what do you bring? If I'm bringing a PhD, where's your PhD? If I'm bringing master degree, where's your master degree? That's what like love is like. When you meet people, they're looking for love. You're like, you mean someone who has a bachelor degree, they're not enough? And they're like, no, you have to have a degree that I have. I'm like, okay. But that is sabotaging Carol, and they're sabotaging themselves because love
Yeah.
is not like that.
Mm.
Yeah, love is different. It's completely different.
That sounds quite a bit of the controller in there has to
Mm.
control the situation in the
Yeah.
way that
Yeah.
they want it because that's what they believe will is safe for them and it's what's comfortable for them. And the controller is very much about managing the space, even micromanaging what's going on, and they struggle to let go of things. You know, it has to be
Mm.
their way. And if you're in a relationship, someone who's being the controller, it actually suffocates the other part, the partner, and it builds in mistrust, except that partner feels mistrusted. And so it's to sort of, I love what your phrase, Shreen, is reducing its power, the power. So it's not about stopping it, overcoming these saboteurs. It's reducing their power.
Mm.
And so just a little bit at a time. It
Mm.
is just acknowledging it's there to start with and going, yes, I see you. But like with the controller, it's maybe just start off by giving your partner
Mm.
something to do that you wouldn't normally have done, just something small, let them perhaps lead the way a little bit to start with. And as discomfortable, sorry, as uncomfortable as it is, it's mixing words here. It's just breathing in that moment and recognizing that you are still safe
Mm.
in actually letting go of that control for just a short bit, just something small, just to start with. So you can break that cycle, break that story that
Mm.
you know, it's that you're living in. I think it was you, Shireen, said that you're living an old story. And actually we've outlived its time. That story is no longer valid.
Mm.
So it's actually about being able to rewrite a new story, but little bits at a time. So breathing through that discomfort in that moment, facing it. And I love this phrase. It's remind yourself love is co-creation,
Mm.
not domination. So it's bringing in little phrases like that to help you to move forward. And then if you, yeah, okay, you become the controller again, it's okay for a while, you know, it's just, but it's recognizing it. And then it's just giving that lead again. And the more you do it, as you said, Shireen, it loses its power.
Mm.
And that's what you're wanting to do. And because your brain is used to a certain pattern, it's wired that way.
Yeah.
When you start building new neural pathways, the more you use them, the stronger they get, and the other ones just fade away. And so it is just recognizing it, doing it more and more for longer periods of time, that it will start to, a new way will open up, and it will become easier. That's what makes it easier. What makes it hard in the beginning is that letting go, because you can feel there's that. And so, yeah, I think that controller is very strong one, as are all of them. That is something I was reading, is the greatest blocks to love are rarely outside of us, but within us. The fears, patterns, and defenses we mistake for protection. So again, it's going back to that misseeing and recognizing the truth, waking up to the truth, and making a game out of it. Learn about how the saboteurs show up and how they show up, and how you can then diminish their power. So that's something that together in a partnership you could learn together, and get to know how you can perhaps say to someone, your partner, without making them wrong or feeling, shaming them, come to some agreement how you can support each other in spotting these patterns when they are showing up. Just sort of, is that perhaps a bit of the controller showing up there? What is it that's, and if you recognize what the purpose of the controller is, or that particular saboteur, you could then be asking the question, well, what is it that's, it's fearful of? What is it that really would help make it safe? And have that conversation together. So this again is a way of diminishing the power together, rather than it's not just one person's job to do. In a partnership, it's what a partnership says. It's both of you. So yeah, it's standing together so you can thrive together and spot these saboteurs, recognize the protective intent of them without letting them run the show, shift from fear to love, and being able to respond rather than react. And then it's just working together in partnership with your partner. So yeah, every criticism, avoidance, or control is a messenger, showing us where love is being hijacked by fear. So I think that's something worth remembering.
Yeah.
So that I think I'd just leave readers with that, listeners with that. Shireen, is there something you'd like to?
I mean, there were a couple of things I just wanted to, I love what you were saying. Everything must be done in partnership. And I think I want to bring that in something that's quite important. I think with it's useful for people to understand that caring and control are two sides of the spectrum. They're not just either or. We can overcare and then it's dysfunctional, or we can over control and it's dysfunctional. But when we come towards the center of the spectrum, where there's a bit of flexibility, then we utilize what that saboteur was really created for. How do we create space that allows us to flourish? We know in civilizations, it's actually because of the stability that allowed things to thrive, right? It wasn't in the uncertainty, it was the stability that brought it together so that you could have art and all creative stuff taking place. And at the same time, it's when we actually bring caring into a different perspective and we don't just try and overprotect in the caring, but we actually allow our children to fall and let them get up and let them walk again and leave them for a minute and see how well they're doing. Those are that's the kind of caring that allows them to feel proud of themselves because they see the difference. Hey, I did this, I did this. Wow, I managed this. And you can encourage the bit that they managed. So it's really recognizing that these are on a spectrum. Saboteurs are always on a spectrum. And where are you? One of the things from a neuroplastic perspective is our everything in the neurological terms is about energy sparing, but we're designed to change because our neurology is full of adrenaline, not adrenaline, dopamine, which is always about trying to get us to shift and change and seek out. But we've always got the part that wants to stay the same. To build neural connections requires sameness, repetition, so that we can build those things strong. So we've always got to be in this kind of space where we're kind of juggling between building and stability, building and stability, building and stability. So this is how relationships are, right? We have to be able to grow in that relationship. And I loved what you said, Caroline, that we've got to dance, right? Create the dance. The important thing is that you create the contract on how, if this person says, hey, it's your saboteur, you need to negotiate how they're going to say it, right? So that your saboteur doesn't kick in, because they are contagious, right? They are contagious. So make sure that actually you have an agreement. Well, when you're going to talk to me about my saboteur, I get a little bit triggered when people tell me my saboteur is going, how about you do this? How about you say, oh, is that pot calling the kettle black sort of thing, and make it a joke, something that will allow me to reflect back, but also to know that you're delivering it in love. So it's how do you get your partner to deliver the message of your saboteur in love, that you feel safe and you don't react. I think that's a really key factor that comes out of that. I'm just going to leave with something that might be a nice little soundbite. Is that our saboteurs in love are not simple flaws in character. There are distortions in vision. Love isn't hidden from us. It's a way of seeing that veils it. When the mind becomes a clear mediator between the soul and the spirit, we stop sabotaging and start seeing love as it truly is. Infinite.
Nice.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. For me, guys, I will just leave with this, guys, is whatever you do in life, if you are a Christian, some people, they're Christian, they use scriptures to avoid pain. Doesn't work. See the pain as it is and deal with it. That's what God wants, not you to avoid it. Some people use the power of positivity affirmation to avoid pain and hoping that things will get better. If they just gonna say the positivity, it doesn't work like that. You have to deal with whatever the pain, whatever you feel. And to find that love is unapologetic and having to face who you are, reflecting, and the person you are dating, if you are in a relationship, and really truly being honest and knowing that everything is just gonna work out just fine if you face the truth of what it is and love yourself, like Shireen and Carol Ann says, open that floodgate of love and love each other. Honor your husband, honor your wife, and just live a happily ever after. Forget about the sabotaging part of, let's say, my friend, we do have a business every week, like business meeting to see what we're doing. And she used to get annoyed with her husband. Like, the guy is not done anything. So then I gave her like a little tip, and she goes, Nomsa, I cannot believe how much I've been actually tormenting myself for no reason. I was like, yeah, sometimes you just have to love yourself and go easy with life, because life is about living. And in order to live, sometimes you have to fight battles that you don't want to face, the battles that you avoid. Like sometimes I find myself that I need to deal with things that people would avoid. Like if there's a letter that needs my urgent, I have to deal with it. and get over and done with. If I need to negotiate, if it's the bills, I need to negotiate with the companies, I got to pick up that call, negotiate, because nobody is going to negotiate on my behalf. If it's love that my spouse has done something, or if I have done something, I got to speak. If I don't, no one is going to do it for me. So I've learned that the hard way. I used to torment myself, but now I don't, because I'm not perfect. So guys, if you're watching us from YouTube, please do subscribe to our channel, be part of the family. If you are on Twitter, please do follow us on Twitter and be part of the family. On Facebook, we have two groups, Unique Billionaire Mindset and Gossip Talk Shows, and we have two pages as well. And these guys have their own social media as well, guys. Please do follow them. Carol Ann, do follow her on her social media. And if you want some coaching, and please do email her, or you can email me. The email and the phone number is all on my website. Or if you want to work with Shireen, please, guys, don't just follow and deny yourself the glory. Just contact these ladies. You can contact me if you want to work with me and just be part of the family. And you can go to the website. The phone number is everywhere. If you go on social media, my office number is there, and the email address. And if you want to get a hold of these guys as well, you have two options, direct, or you can come through me. So those options are there. And live with grace, everyone, and God bless.
Right.
Okay.
And remember to share our videos